Today, we're going to talk about a theory that is so big, so ambitious. It claims it's cracked the code on modern society. I mean, everything from the legal system to our love lives, it's this incredibly powerful idea, but it's got a pretty chilling secret hiding inside of it.
So let's kick things off with a huge question. Have you ever wondered how our social systems actually think? And I don't mean us, the people in them. I mean the systems themselves, the economy, science, the law. What in the world is their operating system?
All right, let's get into it. To really understand this hidden logic, we've got to look at the work of a sociologist named Niklas Luhmann and his really influential systems theory.
Luhmann's big idea is, well, it's deceptively simple. He says modern society isn't just one big blob. Nope. It's a bunch of different, independent systems, and each one is running on its own piece of software, its own ruthlessly efficient program, a binary code.
Think about it like this. The legal system, according to Luhmann, it couldn't care less about what's moral or what's true. All it sees, all it can process, is the code. Legal or illegal. That's it. Science runs on true, false. The economy boils everything down to one question: payment or non-payment. Every system uses its own binary to filter reality, and anything that doesn't fit the code, it's just noise, static.
So yeah, that's what systems theory is really all about, and it's a pretty radical way to look at the world. It's saying society isn't a bunch of people trying to do things. It's actually a network of these self-contained communication systems, all just talking to themselves.
And that leads us to this kind of tricky word, autopoiesis. Now, it sounds super complex, but the idea is actually pretty simple. It's basically a system's prime directive, self-preservation. A system uses its binary code to keep making itself over and over, building these walls around itself and just completely ignoring any information that doesn't compute. So, the legal system only talks about law, and the economy only ever talks about money.
You look at this whole framework and it seems really modern, right? It's cold, it's efficient, almost like a computer program. It paints this picture of a world run by these neutral, functional systems. But is that really the whole story? I mean, where did this incredibly powerful idea of a binary code even come from? And is it really as neutral as it looks?
And this is where our explainer gets really interesting, where it turns into a bit of a detective story. We're about to go hunting for the ghost in this very modern machine. And to do that, we have to trace it back to its source.
We really have to ask, what's the intellectual DNA of this code? Because if our entire society is running on these simple on-off switches, figuring out where they came from is, well, it's incredibly important. Okay, so Luhmann didn't just pull this out of thin air. He actually got it directly from a 1969 book called Laws of Form by mathematician George Spencer Brown. But, and here's the twist, Spencer Brown's work has a much older ancestor, the 17th century philosopher and all-around genius Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz. So Spencer Brown's whole point was that the most basic thing you can possibly do in logic, in reality, is just draw a distinction. The very moment you separate this from that, you create something. You actually bring a world into being. It's this powerful, almost cosmic idea. And Luhmann just loved dysfunctional logic. He grabbed it and ran with it. But in doing so, he kind of ignored where it really came from. See, the binary code wasn't born in some modern computer lab. It was born in 17th century theology. Yeah, you heard that right.
And this gets us right to the heart of the mystery. The huge difference between what the binary code originally meant and how we use it today. This is really a story of creation versus control.
And the difference is just night and day. For Leibniz, the binary was warm, it was spiritual, it was this beautiful language that described divine creation and endless possibility. But for Luhmann, it becomes cold, functional, morally blank. It's not a logic of creation anymore. It's a tool for control, just a way for these systems to manage complexity and keep on chugging.
I mean, get this. For Leibniz, the binary system was literally a reflection of creation. The number 1 represented God, the fullness of everything. And the 0? That was the void, nothingness. So every single number, every combination of ones and zeros was like a little symbolic echo of God creating the entire universe out of nothing. It was this logic of absolute abundance.
So what Luhmann does is, well, it's a huge misreading. He takes Leibniz's sacred metaphysical idea and he guts it. He strips out God, he strips out creation, he strips out all the cosmic meaning, and he just keeps the functional skeleton, the 1 and the 0. He inherits the code, but he totally forgets its soul.
Now, this isn't just some dusty academic point. This act of forgetting, this misreading, it has enormous, real-world consequences for how we understand our own society. There is absolutely a price to be paid for this.
And right about now, you're probably asking, so what? Who cares? Why does any of this stuff with a 17th century philosopher matter today? Well, it matters because that operating system Luhmann described, that cold functional code, that's the one we are all living inside of. And it turns out it has some massive ethical blind spots.
So here's the fallout. First, you get what's called moral neutralization. A system that can only see legal or illegal is completely blind to just or unjust. Second, all nuance gets flattened. The messy, gray, complicated reality of our lives gets squashed into a simple yes or no. Third, and this one is huge, there is no way to critique a system from the outside. You can't judge the economy using morality because the economy doesn't speak morality. Each system becomes its own little god, untouchable. And finally, what does this lead to? A kind of systemic nihilism. Our institutions get incredibly good at just keeping themselves going, but they are totally blind to any greater purpose, any greater good.
And this really gets to the core problem. These systems are designed to do one thing: stay stable. They just ask, over and over, does this work? Does this allow this system to continue? They are fundamentally, structurally incapable of asking, is this right? Is this just? Is this good? So the final picture you're left with is a society that looks like a bunch of brilliantly engineered machines, all running in perfect, self-sustaining loops, but they're completely unmoored. They're not anchored to any deeper meaning or value. It's a machine running perfectly, but going absolutely nowhere. It's what the source for this explainer calls a metaphysics of emptiness.
So I'll just leave you with this final thought to chew on. Is it true that our modern world is just running on a cold, functional, empty code? Or is it possible that in adopting this code, we've simply forgotten the cosmos? We've forgotten that metaphysical fire that gave it meaning in the first place?